if you're subscribed and going to be attending this webinar. We're going to be talking about 360 head creation. We already have a few tutorials out there on 360 head creation, a lot of fun, a lot of cool stuff. A new feature with Cartoon Animator 4. We're going to talk a little bit about face and body customization, just a brief bit about that. We're going to be saving our head and applying it to another character, and we're going to be saving animations for reuse as well. I'm also going to be showing my ugly mug here for some facial mocap. So you'll see me doing some facial motion capture here in just a moment with one of the characters on the screen. And we're not going to be talking about adding additional head features in this particular webinar. I'll be talking about that in future more detailed webinars and tutorials. Okay, that's about it for the summary of what we're going to be talking about. Now, just a little bit about the webinar format here. We're all using Zoom, of course. We have a Q&A section at the end of our webinar, so the last 10, 15 minutes are open to any questions you might have. Please put those questions in the Q&A section, okay? There's a chat section I know we have, but we're not going to be using that in this webinar. I'm only going to be placing links in that chat section, okay? But any questions you have, at any point you have a question, put it in the Q&A section or the Q&A panel there, and I'll get to that at the end of the webinar. In addition, we're going to be sending out a survey for you guys. So if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions for future webinars, make sure that you fill out that survey and hand it over to us, and we will provide you with a 10% discount from the content store on all your content. And that's about it. And what else are we missing here? Oh yeah, we are recording this webinar. By the way, we're launching it. We're live streaming it rather on Facebook and on YouTube as well, I believe. So if you miss anything, do not fret. We are recording this, and you can review it alone on your own time at any point, where you can pause and rewind and go back over all my instructions, directions, talking, whatever. Okay, so that's what we're going to be talking about today, guys. We're going to be doing some 360 head creation and kind of deconstructing the head at first, okay? Because the head's on Cartoon Animator 4, a little bit different from Crazy Talk Animator 3. I may be mixing up Crazy Talk and Cartoon Animator throughout this webinar, since I'm still getting used to the new naming, Cartoon Animator 4. So just be aware of that. Okay, and any links that may come up, I'm going to be putting those into the chat window. Okay. All right, so let's get started without any further ado. I'm just going to give you a brief overview here. So I'll close down this window. We know what we're going to be talking about. We have some future webinars coming up next week and the week after that. Those have to do with iClone. So if you're interested, go check that out. We also have our weekly special that I wanted to make you all aware of before we go into any further into the webinar here. Our weekly special, this content pack here, Indoor Scene Series, a lot of cool stuff there. And I'm going to put this link into the chat window for you guys if you want to check it out. My chat window is not popping up. I have to double click it. Oh, it's already up there. Okay, good. I have my assistant Apple just putting up links left and right here. Okay, so that link here for the weekly special is now in the chat window. If you want to check it out, $9 down from $39, so really good buy. Just pick it up. Highly recommended. Okay, let's close on this window. Let's go to the next one. All right, what we're going to talk about is mostly 360 head creation and customization and saving and all kinds of fun stuff. So from the Reallusion main site, if you go up here to this little menu item on the top right, you go to 2D and Media and go to Cartoon Animator. I'm going to show you the section of the Cartoon Animator page that we're going to be mainly focusing on. If you go up to Features here, we have 360 head creation, which is going to be the main topic of this webinar. Okay, so we have all these videos you can watch on your own time. Okay, and if you've watched any of the tutorials that I've produced so far, you've seen that we have some really cool stuff going on with Cartoon Animator 4. We're able to transform those 2D heads into 360 heads. We don't want to call them 3D heads. They simulate the 3D head. Okay, we'll talk about how to achieve that in a little bit. You anchor your head, and there's different angle points that you can adjust to your character. We'll talk about those a little bit later. Anchor positions, whatever you want to call them. I just call them angle points. And lots of other stuff we can talk about. I'd recommend going through this page just to kind of get an overview of all the different features that we have. You can attach, we've already produced this tutorial, you can attach all sorts of accessories and different items to your character's face to go along with it, just like this. Angle definition again. And I'm going to be using the pipeline version of Cartoon Animator 4, okay? Now, if you're using the Pro version, don't fret. You can actually achieve basically the same thing in the Pro version. You just don't have all the editing tools of Photoshop or GIMP, whatever you're using. But I highly recommend the pipeline version. Just in general, it just gives you a bit more freedom to go back and forth using PSD files. You can import PSD files directly into Cartoon Animator 4, which is what we're going to do in a moment here. And we're also going to talk about expression setup very briefly. Some new assets like eyes and mouths and everything like that. And we're going to do some brief animation and timeline editing, okay? And again, you can go over this page on your own time just to kind of take a look at all of the different features. All right, so let's start over here in Cartoon Animator 4. What we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at deconstructing an actor. So I'm going to go over here to the Actor tab under Character, under G3 here. We have G3 Human. It's kind of a tongue twister to say that sometimes, G3 We're going to bring up Ted. All right, so Ted is an embedded character with Cartoon Animator 4. I'll just double click him and apply him to the scene here. And let's take a look at Ted. Ted looks like a very simple guy, like almost like a stick figure. Now we can apply different animations to Ted. If we go to the Animation tab, perform animations, by the way, are both body and face, okay? So let's try a G3 animation. These are all embedded with Cartoon Animator 4. Let's try something like this, Roger talk, okay? So we can just double click that.
Trust me, you can animate the first time too.
All right, so you can see the expression on the character's face, the voice. Hopefully you can hear the audio for the voice and the animation and the head tilting, okay? So this is something that we did not have in Crazy Talk Animator 4, head tilting from left to right. Very cool new feature with Cartoon Animator 4, okay? I'm going to apply like another animation to the characters to test it out again.
No. I will not eat green eggs and ham.
Okay, so that's the basics of the differences of characters between Crazy Talk Animator 3 and Cartoon Animator 4. Okay, so let's take a look at Ted's head. Okay, so Ted is a very simple character. That's why I like to use him for the basic summarization of the head. For Ted's head, we're going to go into the composer, okay, composer mode. So once you have your character selected, go up here to composer mode to kind of take a look at what they are. And if it has motions, it'll just say this, just ignore that. We can actually just right click our character and remove object animation to make it easier. And then just go up here, composer mode, and it'll go directly into composer mode. We don't need to worry about, hopefully I clicked it, there we go. And in composer mode, we're gonna deconstruct Ted's head. All right, so you see a bunch of yellow bones throughout his body. We don't need to worry about that. We're going to be focusing on the head. In future webinars, future tutorials, we'll talk more about the body. So I'm going to deselect the show bone, and let's zoom in on Ted's head. Okay, fairly simple head. He's got a face. You can see over here on the scene manager, we have a face. And underneath the face is basically everything, okay? So it's left brow, left eye, right eye. And you can see if I select them on the hierarchy here, you'll see the blue selection box appear over here on the left, okay? You can select them from the scene view here, your composer mode view, or you can select them from the hierarchy. And if you want to see the order that these go in, so this is the hierarchy right now. If you want to see the layers, you can go over to the layer manager. And you can see over here, the mouth is the top layer, and then there's left brow and right brow, and face is down below. And then the left ear is below the face, okay? There's actually a little kind of left ear part here. You can actually move that out. You can see it's just a little kind of little insert for the ear there, okay? I'm just gonna Control Z and undo that. So this left ear actually has two parts. And again, you can select any parts you want. You can scale it. You can make it large. You can make it smaller. Now keep in mind, when you do this in composer mode, these are gonna be permanent changes to your character. So if you scale your eye down to that level, it's going to be permanent on your character. All right. So I'm going to just Control Z and undo that. And you can also rotate your eye like this. You just rotate it around like this. I'll undo that. And you can move it wherever you want as well. So move it over here, move it over there. He has two eyes on one side of his head. Fantastic. All right, so that's the basic outline of the general character's head, okay, face. So now most characters will have these basic features, okay. So front hair, this guy has 3 hairs. each hair on his head is a separate sprite, okay. Now, one important thing to note here is that the sprites on your character's face, each sprite corresponds to a layer in Photoshop, and we'll talk about that a little bit later when we get into Photoshop. Just keep in mind that a sprite in Cartoon Animator equals a layer in Photoshop. Okay, and we'll talk about that a little bit later, like I mentioned. Okay, so that's Ted. That's the basics of Ted. Let's take a look at a character that's a bit more complex with a few more features on the face. Okay, so we're going to go back to our Content Manager under Character G3360, G3360 Human, and under Miscellaneous, we'll find this Sandy Girl character. Okay, so Sandy has a few more features on her face. We'll take a look at that in just a sec. Okay, so you can see here she is. Now, both these characters can move their heads around if you use the face key editor right here. Just click on the face key editor on the bottom left there, and you'll see this little gizmo appear right normally around the character's neck. You can click and drag it. You can rotate your character's head like this. Now, this is used for keyframe animation, okay? And you can see here, we get the simulation of a 3D head, okay? Or a 360-degree rotating head, even though it only rotates about 90 degrees. Some of them can rotate even further than 90 degrees, and it really depends on the particular restrictions of your character, okay? So it's a really cool feature. And you can get some really smooth and nice animation using this kind of character. Let's delete Ted. We don't need Ted in the screen right now. He's no longer the center of attention here. Let's apply a couple animations to Sandy here. So we're going to go to Animation, Perform G3360. Let's try one of the female animations here, like Martha's Scared, for example. Now, the layers on this character...
I really don't want to.
Okay, so you can see here her arms kind of went behind her chest, but that's not what we're focusing on right now. We're focusing on the head. Since this animation is not really intended for this kind of character, you can see the eyes, the sprites will change for the eyes from here. That's a sprite change, okay? Here, here, and here. Those are 3 different eye sprites. So every feature on your character's face has a sprite library. Okay, now take a look at this eye, for example. If we click on this character and we go over here to the sprite editor, we're going to talk about animating with this a little bit later at the end of the webinar. You can see if we select our character's eye, you can see there's different eye sprites. So every facial feature has a number of different sprites in the sprite library. Okay, the eyes normally have 6. They have like normal, smile close like this, eye close, scared close, eye squint, okay, and iris change. And you can, go back and forth between all these. You can animate between all of these, no problem. The mouth also has a bunch. The mouth has like different shapes for the different lip syncing, okay? So when your character's making an ah sound, it'll be like this, ah, or oh. And then there's also e and ooh, okay? So these sprites are all contained within the sprite library of each feature, okay? And we'll talk more about that a little bit later as we move on. And this particular character also has numerous different facial features that Ted did not have, okay? Let's take a look. Let's go over to composer mode and deconstruct this head. I'll just remove the animation first. Let's go to frame 1. Remove object animation. Again, I'm right-clicking there, in case you kind of didn't catch that. Right-clicking and selecting Remove Object Animation. I know I kind of skipped over that earlier. Then you go to Composer mode here. And in Composer mode, let's take a look at all the features that Sandy has. Okay, so Sandy has, let's go to the Layer Manager. It's a bit easier to see. She has a blush left and a blush right, and the whole face. And there's back hair. So the back hair is this part. Okay. So if I select the back hair and I move it, notice that the back hair has children basically connected to it. If you go into the hierarchy, I'm just going to Control Z that for positioning. If you go into the scene manager here, and I go down to back hair, you can see back hair. If I twirl it up, you can twirl it down. We have back hair left, which is this part here. Back hair left 2, which is actually a part that you can only see when your character's head is rotated. Okay, and we'll talk more about that in just a sec. Back hair right, so this part here. Okay, you can move it around separately. So essentially what I want to kind of emphasize here is that your character can have unlimited facial sprites. And we talk about that in a couple of our tutorials. You can attach as many facial sprites as you want to your character. You're not limited to nose, eyes, and everything like that. You even have this little front hair left thing as a separate sprite. Okay, even this little small thing here is a separate sprite, and you can move that and attach that and whatever to your character. Okay, so that's about all I wanted to demo for the characters here. Let's take a look at bringing a character into Photoshop and seeing how the sprites on your character's head compared to Photoshop. And we'll bring a character from Cartoon Animator 4 into Photoshop and then back really quickly. And for that demo, we're going to use a different character in G3 360. We're going to use Roger here, okay? Looks like Flash Gordon or something, or some old school science fiction character with his outfit there. All right. And let's go ahead and zoom in on him. Okay, so Roger has a bunch of different facial features as well. If we go into composer mode and take a look at his facial features, he has, make sure we zoom in on the face here. There's front hair 4. You can see there's a whole bunch of different front hairs for Roger. He has this one, this one, this one. You can select them individually. And this one's in the back. Okay, so whole tons of all kinds of hair stuff here. You can see if I move it, it's actually it's masked. Okay, so if I click and drag this front hair from side to side, it won't show up outside of the character's face. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so that's one important thing, the masking. And if you go to the layer manager, you'll see on the very right here whether that feature, that particular sprite, is masked or unmasked. Okay, the black icon here indicates that it's masked. The white one indicates that it is not masked. Okay, just keep that in mind. And when I take this character into Photoshop, you'll see what I mean by unmasked and masked, because Photoshop, the masking technology that we use in Cartoon Animator 4 does not translate currently to Photoshop. So you're going to see a bit of a weird look on our character's face when you launch it in Photoshop. Okay, now what you can do here, if you have the pipeline version, you can launch to Photoshop Editor right here. If you don't, you can launch to an external image editor. Doesn't really matter. It's not going to just appear as a PSD. You can launch individual features. So for example, if I want to, for some reason, launch this little hair sprite here, I can launch that separately by itself and click this button here, Launch External Image Editor, only that feature, okay? However, if I select this button right here, Launch to External PSD Editor, it's going to export this character into PSD format in Photoshop, okay? Now it's going to ask you to scale your body, your character's body. It doesn't really matter in this case. Just keep in mind that if you have a vector character, it's going to convert it to an image-based character, okay? So let's just launch that in Photoshop at whatever scale it was, I think 2.5. Okay, so this is what's going to happen. You also have the option to launch only the head and the body as separate files. I decided to launch the everything in one file. Doesn't really matter in this case. Okay, I'm just going to press the V hotkey to bring my selection tool, and press space and click and drag to just drag over here. We're going to be focusing on our character's head. Okay, so you saw all those sprites earlier. Let's deselect the human bone up here. Okay, we do not need this. This is all the RL human bone human folder here, group, is all about the body. So is RL image. Okay, so we're going to take all this away. So we only have this RL underscore talking head. And under here, we're going to find head bone, right, left, and center. Now, center is the center front-facing profile, okay? Left and right are going to be when your character is facing left or facing right. We're not going to worry about that for simplicity's sake in this webinar. We're only going to worry about the head bone group and the center group, okay? So the head bone group, this contains all the bones, right? Very important. So if I take that away, you can see all those yellow crosses, which represent the bones on your character, will appear and disappear, okay? If I twirl that down, you can make them appear and disappear individually, just like this. Whoops, zoop, that, drag, and okay, all those bones all gone. Okay, now we have no bones, and we can twirl that up, and we can go to the center, which is the angle we're facing right now, and you can see there's all these front hairs. If I click on them, the visibility, you can see the result right there. Now, like I mentioned, in Photoshop, it's going to appear like his face is just like a big, or his hair is like a big afro. That's because there's no masking, okay? So don't worry about that. When you export it, when you save it back into Crazy Talk, it's going to be just fine, okay? And yeah, that's basically it. That's there's your left brow right here, okay? It'll be under a folder called Normal, because sometimes your sprite library will have, let's go for example to the mouth. So we have normal. This is our character's normal mouth right here, okay? We can make that visible or invisible. And then we have smile open, okay? So there's a sprite for smile open. If we make normal invisible, we can make smile open visible, okay? So your default characters in Cartoon Animator 4 will have all of these features. Now, all of these facial expressions, rather. So down here, O, E, U, F, V, and all that stuff, these are for lip syncing, okay? So these are when your character has, let's make that visible. These are when your character is using lip syncing. We'll talk about that momentarily as well. Okay, but without further ado, I think I've done enough kind of summarizing about deconstruction about the characters' faces and heads. So as long as you know the sprites are the same as the layers in Photoshop or the groups in Photoshop, then that's really all you need to know at this point. Okay, I'm just going to close this down, and we'll go to there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a special guest. We're going to bring in our own character, and we're going to start constructing our own head. All right. I have to go to that folder here. All right. Special super secret folder I have here. Webinar. All right. So the character I'm going to be using in this tutorial, or in this webinar rather, is this guy. Right. He kind of looks like it's a really low resolution picture of him. But he looks like kind of Barrett from the Final Fantasy VII series, which I really enjoy. And it's kind of why I wanted to use this character. Really love that guy. And so we have, I'm going to just double click on the PSD file here. And you can see in the PSD file, so this is a character file. This is, if you export your character and you take away the RL image, this is what it's going to look like we just saw. Now this character, his front hair image is a lot bigger and a lot less refined. Let's just zoom in and take a look here. Zoop. Okay, so similar setup to the previous character. Let's minimize all of these, or rather, twirl up all of these groups here, just to make things a bit simpler. Okay, so like I mentioned, we can make RL image disappear. We can make RL bone human disappear, and we can go into RL talking head, and we can make head bone disappear. Okay. Now, in this particular situation, I want to keep a couple of ears on the docket here. So left ear and right ear. You can see those are way up there. Now, this is on purpose because you want to make sure that your bones are placed relative to where your actual facial features are here, okay? So what I'm going to do temporarily is I'm going to go down to my character under the head image section here, where all the images are for the face. And I'm going to go to the front hair right here and make that invisible. Okay, so you can see, wow, he suddenly looks like totally bald, or he took off all his hair. Doesn't look so manly anymore. We can restore that, and you can see the result right here. So what happens in Cartoon Animator 4 is anything that's outside of this face, okay? So the face is this one right here, okay? That's the face, right? Anything outside of the border of the face, you can mask out, and it'll automatically mask that out. That's a feature in Cartoon Animator 4. Unfortunately, not in Photoshop at this time. But so what you can do is you can just draw the front hair. You can, do a rectangle and fill it in with whatever, and then just, make sure you, mask out the actual facial features. Okay, enough deconstruction of this character. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that those ears are in place. So again, let's just remove that front hair for now. And I want to make sure those bones are in the correct position. We want to make sure they're over here, because when we move them and rotate them, especially when we rotate them, we want them to rotate around the bone point, okay? So I'm going to select this bone here. You can see it's selected left ear bone up here. I have auto select on, by the way, so you can select left bone, right bone, left bone, right bone. Okay, good enough. Click and drag this bone down to where the ear is supposed to be, okay? And click and drag the right bone down to where that ear is supposed to be, and we're golden, okay? Just make sure that you have all your bones in place. And, right eye, right there, where the right eye is supposed to be, left eye, where the left eye is supposed to be, and so on and so forth, okay? Hopefully that's clear as mud for you. So let's take away all the bones there and bring this character back. Okay, so this is our character right here. So we're just going to go ahead and save that. I'm going to go File and Save. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this file, called Blackman, I guess, back right directly into Cartoon Animator 4. So this is the feature of, this is a great feature of Cartoon Animator 4. You can actually click and drag PSD files directly into your project. So I'm going to start a new project here. Okay, and we're going to take that PSD file and click and drag it directly onto our character. Rather, into our scene. And what it'll automatically do is it'll automatically go into composer mode here. Okay, so you can see we go back to stage mode, but we're in composer mode. Now again, the front hair will pop up unmasked by default. Let's just take away the bones right here. We don't need the body bones. We're only going to be saving the head. So let's go over to our layer manager here, and front hair. You can see currently it's unmasked. So what we can do is we can click and mask it. Okay, that's the feature that masks and unmasks. Very important feature. Okay, that's the number one most important thing to remember on any features that tend to possibly go outside the boundaries of the face. You want to make sure you know that you can mask them or unmask them. Okay. So what's going to happen with our character right now? Let's transform this character. Again, this is just like a bunch of images put together. And if I go into the image folder here, this is basically all we have. We have this. This is our front hair right here. Okay, and we have other ones like this back hair. We have the face. So this is just the face right here, just a big plain old face. That's the ear. This is the iris. This is a mask for the eye. This is the eyebrow, lips, nose. Okay, so it looks very simple, but put all these simple sprites together and you get a face. Fantastic. Okay, and assemble them in the correct way. So generally, what you want to do is you want to export, like I did. I just exported that Roger character into Photoshop, and you want to replace those sprites one by one. Okay, and we'll talk about how to do that in future tutorials. But in this one, I'm just going to assume that we already did that, and we're just bringing that PSD file directly into Cartoon Animator 4. Okay, so what we're going to do here, we need to make it into a 3D head so it can rotate like the ones we saw before. So let's go over here to our 360 head creator. Okay, this is the big boss, the big new feature when it comes to Cartoon Animator 4. So the first thing we do is preview. Okay, this is what's going to happen when you bring those features directly into Cartoon Animator 4 just as a PSD. Okay, it looks pretty whack. This is not really what you want. This is not a realistic representation of a character by any means. The layers are off, the rotation's off, and everything. So the easiest way for most new character or for most new PSD files that you bring in to start to get the setup started anyways, is to go over here to your quick head turn setup at the very top left of your 360 head creator. Okay, so once you click that, you'll only have four profiles or 4 angle points to determine. Okay, so the right, left, up, and down. And you can see up and down already look pretty good. So it's a pretty smart program. I mean, it just kind of automatically transfers different features to different areas of your character's face. Now this part is probably the most time consuming, so I'm going to try and go through it relatively quickly. So let's go for the left feature here. I think everything looks pretty fine. Now you can set your angle. If you think your angle is not, your character just doesn't look good at that extreme of an angle, you can go all the way to 90. Okay, it's not really an option in this case. It could possibly be an option, but we're going to keep it, conservative at 40 here. All right. And the only thing I think really need to take care of here is to take that back hair piece. Okay. So if I click it, you can see back hair is selected in our layer manager. Let's move it over here. Okay. We can move it over here and just make it so it doesn't seem to be protruding so much from the back of its head there. Okay. Just like that. Good. And then we go to the right side. Now we can just do the same thing for the right side. Okay, just like this and place it right over there. I mean, we can take the eyes and move them around if we want. We can make them smaller. We'll talk about that more in the second part of this head setup. Up, I think, is fine. I mean, up, we can possibly take those ears a little bit higher, something like this. Okay. And down, we want the ears to be a bit higher than the eyes. Okay. So generally, a good rule is that the top of your eyebrows kind of goes to the top of your ears for most relatively reasonably proportioned characters. Okay, and then you can go ahead and preview this. And once you preview, you can see, oh, it looks okay, but the ears are popping in and popping out. The ears are out here, and they're kind of popping into his bush of hair there, I guess, and then coming out and popping in again. All right, so this has to do with like layering. Okay. And let's just go ahead and apply this for now. This is going to be our starting point. Okay. And now we're in the main 360 head creator here. So what we can do here is we need to make sure that we have different layers all set up. You can see the layer manager on the right. Okay. We don't want to see manager, we want layer manager. So what we need to do here is go to the left point here. Okay. Left point is fine, except for the ear, right? So at the left point, what we want to do is we want to go ahead and take our left ear, make sure that's above the front hair. So notice the front hair, the one that we is kind of masked out, is this part right here where my mouse is kind of going around. This is the left or front hair right here. So what I want to do is I want to take that front hair and click and drag that layer down below the left ear. Okay, so now we have left ear at the top, right? So now the left ear appears at this angle point, okay? At the left angle point, the left ear appears. And then we have the front hair, okay? The front hair is the next one. And then we have the face, which is that bald kind of face that I showed you earlier. And then we have the right ear. And the right ear doesn't really matter in this case. Just make sure it's relatively positioned to where it should be. And this is very important, and I'll show you why in just a minute here. Okay, so I think we're okay for if we preview from the middle to the left, okay? You can see the ears kind of popping in and out, and we'll talk more about how we can fix that a little bit later on, okay? At the center point, we need to make sure that we adjust this as well. So the center, we want the left ear, and then we want the front hair below that as well, okay? Just like this. So left ear, front hair, okay? And then face obviously has to be below front hair, okay? Click and drag that. And then we have right ear underneath. Now if we preview, see that left ear, the character's left ear will stay in that position, okay? Okay, so step one, all finished. Now what we need to do is we need to adjust all the other ones, like up, down, bottom left, and top left. Okay, so let's try the lower left one first, okay? So lower left, I mean, our character looks fine at that point. We can probably, take the rear hair and kind of bring it down a little bit so it doesn't look like his head's so big there, okay? Maybe a little bit up like that. Again, this is all up to your personal preference, and I think that should be okay. And we want in layers, we want the left ear on the top again, and we want the front hair below that. So let's take that front hair and bring it below the left ear, okay? And then face, again, has to go below front hair, and then right ear, okay? So now, in this little quadrant here, we're going to have a fairly good result. So down here, up there, like that, okay? There you go. Just like that. But over here, you can see it's all messed up and weird stuff is happening. Okay, see the ears coming into the face, but here we're okay. Just focus on this. Focus on one step at a time. Okay. And then we'll do the upper left, okay? So upper left, we want to have the left ear in the front. We want, again, to drag the front hair below the left ear, drag the face below the front hair, and then we have the right ear at the very bottom again, okay? So, and again, this position is going to be, you're going to have to adjust your position of your left ear, okay? So maybe something like this. We can rotate it, again, up something like that, okay? Slightly up, okay? Now here and here, this one's probably a bit down further and then tilted slightly downward like that. And if you want to compare, you know, this one, and all these three on the left, what you can do is you can use the onion mode here, onion layer mode, and then select it, and then click on this one. And you can see the comparison of all the features between the lower left and the middle left, and then you can click on this one, and you can see upper left. Okay, so you know, I'm happy with that. I'm fine with that. Now let's just take off onion mode there, and then preview. You can see it's like this. It's fine. Okay, from here down there. I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so we got half of our 360 head done. And bottom layer, we need to do the same thing, or sorry, the bottom angle point, lower angle point here. Okay, we want left ear. We want front hair below that again. Okay, we want face below the front hair. We can drag, and then we want right ear at the very bottom. Okay, so now we should have the entire angle here doing just fine, except we haven't done the upper part yet. So upper angle. Okay, again, take that front hair. So you can kind of see a theme, kind of a repetitive theme happening here. We just adjust all the angles to what we want them to be, and then we need to mirror them. And I'll talk about mirroring in just a sec. So upper, we have to have left ear, and then we have the right ear, and then we have front hair. Okay, and then face at the very bottom. Okay. So the reason this one's a little bit different from the others, I'm going to show you here. So I'm going to preview this and take a look what happens here. You can see in this section here, suddenly our right ear is kind of penetrating our character's face. Okay, so this is all fine. The left ear is fine. Okay, you can see that the right around here, you'll see that right ear kind of penetrating the face. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is let's mirror everything first. So we've done everything on the left side of the head creator. Let's mirror it to the right. So I'm going to take this left angle here first, and we're going to go ahead and select this mirror option here. And make sure we select all here. Let's close that down. Mirror. And select all. Okay. Do not select sprite. Okay. Only transform. First, before we do this, very important. Let's make sure that our right ear is in the right position on all these areas right here. Okay. So left. We select right ear. Okay, there it's fine. Up here, right ear would probably be up here. Okay, so again, you need to change it to a relative position that you think it should be in. And down here, it'd probably be over here. Okay, we'll just kind of guesstimate it. And down here, right ear is there. Up here, right ear is there. Okay, good. Now we can do the mirroring. Okay, so let's select left here and mirror. Again, we're going to mirror all. Layer, deform. We're going to mirror the layers for sure because we messed around with all those layers. Transform and deform, and just go apply. Okay, and now we have everything transferred over to the right end. We see the same thing for the upper left. Apply. Lower left. Apply. Fine. Awesome. Okay. Now we should be, you know, theoretically we should be fine. You can see here we have, you know, kind of an issue where the, you know, the ear is kind of not in the correct position. And what we do here, there's two things we need to do. I just noticed we didn't mask this ear, so it needs to be masked. Okay, let's go to the preview mode here. So notice it's unmasked right now, the right ear. So let's mask that ear, and let's mask that left ear as well. Okay, that's one of the main reasons why it's not working. Okay, so here we go like this. Okay, so now we have this, but you can still see here. There's the right ear's kind of coming in like that, coming into the eye there. Okay. And over here, the left ear is coming into the eye right there. Now these ears have little brown kind of borders on them, just for the reason that when you go up here, you know, or down here, you don't want it to be, you know, too out of whack there. So what I'm going to do here is let's go ahead and take this preview off. And we're going to go here to weight mode. Okay. Now up here, what I want to do is we don't want to have these masked actually like this. It should not be masked at this point. But we want to make sure that the weight of these layers up here and this angle point is a lot less. Okay, so I'm going to click and drag this weight. If you go on the border, you can click and drag it to like this level. You can click and drag from this angle here as well. And the pink section there is going to represent the area of your 360 head profile that this angle point will have influence over. Okay, so if we preview now, we're going to have something like this. Okay, now generally what I would do, it's still right here. You can still see at this point here that little kind of brown border on the ear. Okay, but here it disappears. So it's here it disappears. Okay, here you can see it. There it disappears. Okay, so I mean, there's two alternatives here. One is you can make the influence area even smaller, and just try to work with it that way. This particular character, is a little bit fussy in that regard. Okay, so here to here, you can see right there. You'd have to make it ideally even smaller. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we can just go ahead and work with that. And what I'm going to do is just kind of take those. You can either take those brown borders off, or you can make the influence area smaller. Let's try and make the influence area even smaller here, just like this, zoop like that, and up just like this. So you can see the top angle point influence area is very small, and now it's okay. Okay, so it'll be like this, and barely noticeable. Okay, and then everything else is fine. Okay. So now we have a fairly, accurate looking, 360-degree head. And maybe up here as well, the top angle point, we want to take that front hair down a bit, just like that, to cover cover most of the chin there, or maybe even stretch it out a little bit. Okay, and that'll be fine. And I think there we go. We have, all the angle profiles we want. I think I'm happy with the way that things have gone here. Let's make these top left and top right points here. We're going to take that front hair down as well, just like this. Stretch it out. Okay, so you can see how it's very touch and go at this point. But what you want to do is make a very accurate head shape, or head profile rather. Okay, there we go. I think we're okay with that. I'm okay with that. Let's stop that preview. And now we can close down. Now you can save this if you want. You can save the profile, and you can go from there. A lot of other things you can do, but I'm just going to go ahead and close it, and then we have it all saved. So that's the head. Let's go ahead and save this head out. We can go to the Content Manager. We can go to our Custom tab up here, and go to Head, and then go into the Head folder here. Make sure we're in Custom, Head. And then I'll just save it over the Barrett head that I saved before, okay? So all you have to do is just press the plus button down here, and we'll overwrite it as Barrett. Okay, so we have Barrett's head saved. This head is all saved. We can delete it. We can do whatever we want with it and reload it into whatever. Okay, so let's take that character and delete them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take a character from the Actor tab under G360. I'm going to go to this new content pack we have, G3 360 Character Vector Buddies. And I'm just going to bring in a character that has the same skin tone since we're a little bit short on time here. Excuse me. We can edit the skin tone if we want. I'm going to show you how to replace the head really quickly. So with the actor selected, you can go over here to Custom and Head. And we can just double click on Barrett. Okay, we're going to put Barrett's head on top of this little skinny body, which looks a little bit strange. But if you want to move that head down all on the neck, then you have to go into composer mode here. Okay, so for the next 10 minutes or so, we're going to just adjust the character's body and do some facial animation as well. Okay, so let's take Barrett's head and move it down here just like that, and we can scale it down lower if we want. There you go. Okay, I think I'm good with that. Maybe a teeny bit smaller. Okay, so now he looks a lot rougher, a lot more angry than he did before. Let's go ahead and back into stage mode. But before we go into stage mode, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you this character. Okay, because it's just a simple character face. If we go into the sprite editor, you can see for the things like the eyes, we only have one eye, and then all the other stuff is just default. Okay, it's not going to show up. Okay, so we only have this one eye. And what you want to do if you want a complete character, you have to add in all those eyes and all those mouths and everything as well. If we go select the mouth, go to the sprite editor, again, nothing here. Okay, back to normal. So just be aware that this character is limited in that regard. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to just modify the body slightly. So I'm going to just take our character, the full character, export to Photoshop one more time. And we're just going to keep the image scale. Let's keep it at, to get up to the max. Head and body in one file, okay? Since we're going to modify the body in this case. And I already have an image prepared. Let's get rid of that source file there. And we're going to focus on the body. So we don't need to have the talking head. We don't need to have the bones. I'm just going to add like a little logo to the body. I'm just going to give this guy kind of like a kind of a uniform, I guess. If you want to, add stuff like your school uniform or a corporate uniform or something, you can do it this way. So I'm going to go into the folder here and webinar. And I have this PNG file of a bunch of pancakes. We can right click and open it in Photoshop. There we go. All right, so we have this layer of pancakes. Just click and, we need to go back to our folder first, our main project here. Go to RL image. And this is the image that we want to add to, okay? So this hip, image group underscore hip, okay? Now there's a couple ways you can add, different images to your hip. I'm going to do it the way that I like to do it is just kind of by merging the layers. I'm going to click and drag this pancake PNG right onto our character. Okay, you can see it'll appear right there. We can press Control T to use the transform tool and just make it a bit smaller. And that's Control T, otherwise known as transform. And this will be the pancake logo for his jacket there. And just press Enter when we're done. Boom. Now we have a pancake logo on his jacket. And let's call it something. Let's type in Toby's waffle waffle house. Okay. Oops. Oh shoot. There you go. You can see Toby's Waffle House, and let's just kind of give it a little bit of a stylish warp to that. Arch right there. Toby's Waffle House. And I think that's good. And then we'll just move it down here. And just Control T and transform it. Oops. Control T. There we go. And let's make it a bit smaller. Toby's Waffle House. All right. Enter. And then we can put a layer style. So add a little drop shadow to it. Just to make it a bit more interesting looking. Okay. So now this is our character's uniform. Toby's Waffle House with some pancakes on the center side. Okay. So the cool thing is when you launch your character into Photoshop, you want to update it in our Cartoon Animator 4, all you got to do is go up to File and Save. Okay. And then it's going to update automatically in Cartoon Animator 4. However, one thing I forgot to do here is merge those layers. Okay. So you're going to see the character appear, and you're just going to see that. Okay, just like that. So what you want to do is you want to go ahead and merge all those layers. So Shift select all the layers, and it's going to call image img underscore group underscore hip. So we'll right click, and we'll just go ahead and where is the merge layers? I am not seeing it for some reason. Should be able to merge all those. Okay, let's try that. There we go. Merge layers. All right. Let's go. Image underscore group underscore hip. That's what we need to call this. Let's go to group. And the naming is very important. Underscore hip. When you go from our Photoshop into Cartoon Animator. Let's go ahead and save this. All right, and then it's going to update in Cartoon Animator 4, and then we'll get to the facial animation real quick, and then we'll get to our Q&A section. All right, so about 5 more minutes, and you're going to see me do some facial animation. We'll go from there. Okay, so here we go. We have the updated uniform and everything. Let's go back into stage mode. So the rest, we're going to talk about animation on our character. So a couple limitations to this character, like I mentioned before. He doesn't have a sprite library for his eyes and his mouth and everything like that. If we go to the content manager, we go to animation. Let's try some of those animations we had before. So this one right here, Roger positive.
Yes, sir. Pancakes coming right up.
Okay, so you'll notice that at certain points his mouth will disappear. And that's because he doesn't have a mouth sprite library, okay? He doesn't have the mouth. Because right now what it's doing is it's changing to like a what, like yes or sir or something like that. He only has the normal mouth. And morphing the mouth shape, the sprite that we have in Photoshop can only do so much. Sometimes you actually need to change the actual sprite, okay? So right here, if we go play back.
Yes, sir. Pancakes coming right
you can see
up.
the eyes are morphing, for example, like from here to here, for example, from here to here. That, the eyes will morph up like that. Okay, and this all has to do, if we go back into composer mode, this all has to do, let's remove the animation there, with the expression editor. Okay, and this is one thing I wanted to briefly touch on before we do the facial animation. Okay, so the expression editor is this one right here, rather the facial animation setup. Okay, and you're going to be able to here adjust features like the mouth, for example. Okay, so you have templates for this, and you can adjust the shape if you want of all these different expressions. These are all the templates that Cartoon Animator 4 gives you. And when you're changing your character's expression, it's going to use these templates. You can see it's automatically populated, okay, which is really nice and convenient. The eye, for example, we have stretched eye and squinty eye like this. Again, you can adjust all these by yourself, but Cartoon Animator 4 has already automatically populated it for you. But you need to be the one who kind of brings in all the other sprites. So a good solution to this, if you want to do more accurate facial animation, is you can actually use the sprite library for your character. You can actually use the library that's embedded in Cartoon Animator 4. Let's go over to the content manager here under head and under template. Okay, now you have to make sure you're in composer mode. And let's throw in a different mouth. Okay, so I'm going to go under mouth here and G3 360 characters. Now these are mouths that are included in that content pack that I mentioned earlier. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just double click this mouth thick F here. Okay, F stands for front facing, S stands for side facing, and S2 stands for side facing like 90 degrees. Okay. So we're only going to work with this front facing right now. You can see the mouth appears right down there. Again, it's very easy to just move it and resize it. Okay, just like this. That'll be fine. We'll position it right there. Now what's going to happen is if we apply that same animation to our character, let's go back to stage mode really quick. Let's apply that same animation, and you'll see his mouth actually will move now, okay? Because this mouth includes a number of sprites. You can see open lip, show teeth, like this, like that. Okay, mouth open, all these sprites. Okay, could be a bit smaller, but I'll just kind of keep it the way it is right now. Okay, and then if we apply that same animation to our character, you'll see his face or his mouth rather, will shape the appropriate visame shapes.
Yes, sir. Pancakes coming right up.
Okay, good enough. So again, we can do the same thing for the eyes if we want. The eyes are very limited because they don't have all the different sprites. So let's go ahead and replace the eyes as well. We're going to go to composer mode here. Let's just remove the object animation and composer mode. And I'm going to add eyes and eyebrows to our character. So basically, the only original part of our character is going to be his nose, ears, and hair, facial hair, and face color, and all that stuff. So let's go to the content manager here, head, and under eyes, again under that 360 vector pack. Let's throw in, nope, actually we're going to use a 360 head, or we're going to use Roger's eyes, okay? So I'm just going to double click on Roger F, and that's going to replace the eyes we have right now with Roger's eyes, all right? A little bit different looking, okay? You can see these eyes look a bit strange without eyebrows, and you can move them to whatever position you want. You can resize them. If I resize, maybe let's go ahead and just type in 40 here. And 40 width and height. And then this one, same thing. 40, there we go. All right, let's make them a little bit bigger, just like this. And then let's add in some eyebrows. So this character didn't have any eyebrows traditionally, but let's just go into the brows under G3 360 and throw in Roger's brows here as well. So Roger F, front-facing brows. So you can see our character looks a little bit different, but you know, again, this is fine. We'll just place those eyebrows relatively where they should be. Okay, just like this. And now the eyebrows are, the color's a little bit different from the eyebrows. So what I'm going to do here is, this looks a bit smaller as well. I'm going to launch my character into Photoshop one final time, and then we're going to do that facial animation, I promise. Okay, so let's launch this into Photoshop one more time. And let's make sure those eyebrows are the proper color. And it'll update, so we can just update the current version. It's already launched. You can see now it shows up with the new eyes. And now in Photoshop, if we go to RL Talking Head, under Center, under Left Eye, we'll have normal, smile, close. We'll have all these different eyes, which we didn't have before. Okay, but that's, we don't need to talk about that right now. The only thing I want to do is select the, press the V hotkey, select my eyebrow here. Normal left brow, okay. Most of the eyebrow stuff is just morph, it's not sprite changing. So let's just go ahead and use our eyedropper tool here. Let's just select his front hair as a color and paint drop into the left brow. Shoot, there we go. And then same thing into the right brow. Or normal into the right brow. All right, good enough. And then we'll just go ahead and file and save it out. Now our character in Cartoon Animator 4 is going to have a matching eyebrow color. There we go. Okay, so fully animatable character that we have set up right now. Let's go ahead and back into the stage mode and test them out with a quick animation. Again, that same one. So let's use that positive one here again. Oops, you select our character first.
Yes, sir. Pancakes coming right up.
Okay, cool. So there you go, like very, very cool and accurate animation. So let's take a look at doing some really quick facial animation and some editing in the last 5 minutes here. So I'm a bit over time. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just right-click my character, remove on object animation. And if you have the 2D motion capture plugin for Cartoon Animator 4, be aware that you need to have this first. If I go into the site really quickly here, I'll show you where you can find it. 2D media, Cartoon Animator, and we have this facial mocap. Okay, so keep in mind that you do need to get a hold of this facial mocap plugin in order to do what I'm about to do right now. I'm just right click and there it finally loads. Okay, and there's a free trial you can check out on your own time. Really highly recommend it. Again, we're always refining it. Right now, the performance is pretty good, but like we started this with iClone years ago, and we've really refined it since then. And I mean, I think the performance here is fairly decent as well in Cartoon Animator 4. Fairly decent performance, and I'll show you how to refine your performance as well in just a moment. Okay, you can check this out on your own time. I'll just put a link in the description for you, or in the chat window rather. If I can make it pop up here. There we go. Shabba-da-boom. There we go. Oh, this needs to go to all attendees. There you go. All right, so you can check that out on your own time. All right, let's hop to it. So first thing we need to do, when you get that 2D motion capture live plugin, you're going to get this face 3D tracker, right? So I'm going to double click on that and you'll see me up here. That's me. Hey guys. Okay, and you can see those little green dots all over my face. Those are the tracking points. Watch my lips. You can see those tracking points following my lips, okay? Now, it really depends on your webcam that you're using. Myself, I am using like a regular MSI webcam. I'm not even sure about the technical specifications of my webcam. But if you go up here on the top right to settings, you have the option to change your resolution. Now, it's arguable on different devices whether or not a reduction in resolution improves the quality of your capture. You'll have to kind of experiment with your own particular, because there's just so many combinations of video cards and webcams out there that just experiment on your own. I find that for myself, 640 by 480 works quite well for the resolution, and that gets me all I want, especially my eyebrows here. You can see my eyebrows up and down like that. Okay, and then you can move your head from left to right. It's very good tracking for your character's face. So what I'm going to do is pop into, let's close down Photoshop now. No, we don't need to save pancakes. Okay, so we got Barrett here. And let's take a look at animating his face using my face. So you're going to need to go up to Plugins and Motion Live 2D. And just open up your Motion Live 2D right here. And what you're going to see is you're going to see an option here for facial. Now I'm just going to go ahead and click Face 3D, this little button right here, and that'll connect it. My good friend Anouk has done a bunch of tutorials on this. I'd recommend checking them out on our YouTube channel. It goes into much more detail. Again, I'm going to give you like a whiz-bang introduction to this feature here. So just click on that Face 3D, make sure it's green, okay? You have to make sure that this is open first, Face Tracker is opened, okay? And then you want to go down here to your character, it's still named Chad, okay? And click this here, select your gear, and just select Face 3D. Okay, so now everything is connected. So what I need to do is I need to bring this up somewhere over here and bring my face down somewhere over here. And I believe in settings, maybe able to, not right now. We'll just go ahead and start a preview with this, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and preview and press space. What's happening now is my face is driving this character's facial animation. But the most important thing you want to do first is you want to go ahead and select Set Zero Pose, okay? So keep your face in a neutral expression. Let's actually just stop this for now. I'm going to close this down. Okay, let's make this a little bit smaller. Apologies for my messy desktop. We can close down the content manager and this stuff as well. All right, let's make sure so we can still see me over here. Hey guys. Okay, and then we'll do the same thing. Plugins, Face 3D, and make sure Face 3D is selected. Okay, so now you can kind of see both. All right, preview. Okay, so you can see not super accurate yet. Excuse me. So what I need to do here is I need to look directly at my webcam with a neutral expression, like I'm doing a mug shot, and go Set Zero Pose. This button right here, very important. Set Zero Pose. Now you'll see we have much more accurate. Okay, much more accurate, and I can move my head along like this, and just give myself some very natural looking. I can close my eye. Okay, just like this. Okay, and just scrunch my nose like this. And, some very extreme kind of facial expressions, and my character's face is just moving. I have a problem with not moving my mouth enough when I'm talking, but if I talk like this, we can have much more expressions. Okay, too bad there's no tongues. anyways, that's the basics right there. Now, once you want to record, just stop your preview and go ahead and record. Now, if you want to record your lip syncing, you can do that. You have to make sure you record audio. Right now, I'm using a microphone right now, and select lip sync. Okay, you want to make sure that you select lip sync. You can adjust real time or post process. Now, I don't have a lot of experience on that. I find that real time works fairly decently. Again, depending on the type of character, as well as the sprite, the particular sprites. There's also smooth head, but I find that this setting, the default setting, is normally fairly decent. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to record a quick little brief demo with this character. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and record. Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar on Cartoon Animator for 360 head creation. Okay, unfortunately, I'm always looking at the character to my left, so this character's eyes are going to be, looking over there to the left a little bit. You can see. Apologies for that. I should be looking at the webcam, but there you go. Okay. Unfortunately, we don't have a look at feature, look at camera feature in Cartoon Animator 4 like we have in iClone. But I think that's okay. I'm just going to go ahead and close that down. All right. Then we can get rid of my ugly mug here and onto Barrett. Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar on Cartoon Animator for 360 head creation. Okay, I mean, not bad. Ideally, what you want to do is go press F3 to go into your timeline here, and you can go and select the face tracks. Okay, open up the face tracks right here, and under facial clip, under voice clip, you'll find your voice, your character's voice. Let's just make sure we go back to where the voice actually is there. Okay, so this is our recording here. Okay. Hey everyone, welcome to. Okay, so let's focus on this one part for modifying the visine shapes, the lip syncing. Okay. Welcome. Okay, so this one we need to fix. Okay, so the automatic lip syncing is not catching this one. So we have the w. You can see right here. If we double click this keyframe, it's a WOO, which is the W, okay? But here, these three keyframes here, I'm going to click on all those and delete them, okay? We don't want those keyframes. We want a so we can have like an E like this or an E like this. So this is like a well, and then we have a C, okay? So k, like a hard K sound, so k, okay? So this would be like and then here we have a ma. Okay, so BMP. So this would be and then this would be two. So ooh. Welcome to. Okay. Welcome to our. So you can see that's pretty accurate. Welcome to our. Right. So I mean, your automatic lip syncing is not going to be entirely accurate, and there's various ways you can improve it post capture. I don't have time to go into that right now. I just wanted to show you how you can manually do that. In addition, I wanted to show you how you can kind of add more emphasis onto your character's facial expressions. So let's go to frame 1 here. Let's close down our lips editor. Let's open up the 2D face key editor here. Let's use a template. Right? Let's use a template. I'm super lazy, so I always like to use these templates, like a happy template. If you do that frame 1, your character is going to be happy for the entire duration of your animation. Okay, something like this. All right. So if we have an animation like this and we play back, or profile like this at frame 1, you can play back. Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar on Cartoon Animator for 360 head creation. Okay, another thing we can do is we can add sprite changes as well. So, hey everyone. Hey everyone. Maybe right here after he says hey everyone, he wants to kind of have a more smiley face. So let's go to the sprite editor now. Let's select those eyes. Let's give him a smiley closed face like this. Okay. So, welcome to our. And then go back to normal for both eyes. So he's going to kind of have smiley eyes closed at this frame. Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar on Cartoon Animator for 360 head creation. Now let's have like a little wink here. Head creation, wink, and then normal. Okay, so he's just going to wink right here. Head creation. We can make it a little bit longer. We can drag this last keyframe here. Okay, creation. Good enough. Okay, I don't want to go into too much detail on this. We're already over time. I apologize for that, guys. So let's get to our Q&A section right now. This is our first time doing a Cartoon Animator 4 webinar. There's so many features to cover. So apologies for going a bit over time there. Let's get to the Q&A section right now, and then we'll go from there. All right, so anonymous attendee said in composer mode, can the facial bones be adjusted if needed? Because from a Mac, they are not. In composer mode, the facial bones can be adjusted for sure. I just kind of showed you how to do that in Photoshop. This is a question from at the beginning of the webinar. So anonymous attendee, if I didn't answer your question throughout the webinar about the facial bones, please let me know. And then we'll I can kind of clarify that for you there. One question here from Ed Struct. Could you please talk about creating mouth shape in Photoshop? How many shapes do you need? That's a good question. Okay, so when you're asking how many shapes do you need, what you want to do is you want to go to your default character mouth. Okay, so any default character in Cartoon Animator 4, you want to go to the sprite editor, and you want to look at their mouth. Okay, so click on the mouth, and you can see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then there's there's 7 expressions for the face, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7 expression mouths and 8 mouths for different visine shapes for your lip syncing. Okay, so these ones here. Okay, so hopefully that answers your question there, Ed. So 7 for expressions and 8 for lip syncing. Oh, whoops, that's me. Back to Q&A. So Dawn Evelyn asks, is there a grid to position the parts of the head in composer mode? No, but you can launch a grid in Photoshop. You can activate your grid in Photoshop, but in composer mode, it's not really an option for the grid. That's why we have composer mode, or that's why we have the Photoshop pipeline, because Photoshop has a ton more options, okay, a ton more tools like grids and everything like that you can use. An easy way, kind of a cheating way to test if your features are symmetrical or not, is take a look at this eye right here. Our Y value is 157, okay, right here on the top left. This one, it's 157.5, so it's a little bit off. So we can just do 157.1, and it'll be exactly parallel to this one, okay? And you can also adjust your X values as well. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So this one will be -X or -6. This will be +5. We're gonna do the +6, and they'll be identical. Okay, and our nose might be a little off-centered, but that's okay. You can see the nose. Let's put it at 0. There you go. Okay, hopefully that's an easier way to, if you're really picky about the specific position of all your features, that's the way to do it. Keep in mind, guys, don't put your questions in the chat window. Please put them into the Q&A window. Okay, I'm not going to be looking at the chat window for now. All right, so Don also mentions, I noticed that the brow of the eyes and the forehead is not protruding slightly when you turn the head. Is the mask able to adjust for accommodating this, or is there another method to do this? That's a good question. When you turn, if say, for example, your character has a really big protruding eyebrow or brow, deep inset eyes, the way that I would do that is I would add another sprite onto the face just for that eyebrow. Okay, and I would position it underneath the eyebrows. And when you turn your character's head to the side, I would move that sprite, I would move that layer slightly to the side so it creates sort of a protrusion from the character's face, and do not mask it. Because like I mentioned, anything that's masked will not protrude outside of the border of the face, okay? That would just be my initial thoughts, and I don't have a lot of time to experiment with that right now, but you can get in touch with me later on, and I can work through that with you, hopefully. Yeah, and the same thing with the nose. Okay, with the nose protruding slightly. Oh goodness, with the nose protruding slightly, you may need to have the change the nose sprite. Okay, so what I wanted to we do have a tutorial on that, the one with the angry foul character. Where is it here? Let me go back into here. So when it comes to this character, you can see the beak. For this character, we have a beak, a nose like this, and a nose like that to the side and front. Okay, so when it comes to protruding to the side, you want to have a separate sprite for the nose in general. Okay, you're going to have a separate sprite for the center and for the side. Now, let's go ahead and I'm going to launch that character into Photoshop and show you what I mean here. Where we need to open up our content manager. There we go. Let's take that actor and launch into Photoshop really quick. Oops. What are we doing here? Where are we? Character G3360. Oh, human. Okay, yeah. Miscellaneous. Oh, where's that character? Freebone? Yeah, okay. The character otherwise known as Jowl. Looks big and intimidating in the background behind Barrett there. So if we launch this character into Photoshop, first into composer mode, and then into Photoshop, you'll see that this character will have a side-facing beak in a separate folder for right and left. And that's, again, corresponding to the sprite. Oh, come on, Adobe. Yeah, I've been having this issue where Adobe always asks me to sign in. Stupid thing. All right. Okay, so you'll see under Bone Talking Head, you'll see left, center, right, and center. Okay, so left, for example, the mouth will have a different ones for the mouth. Okay, left will have different ones as well. Okay, different sprites. So these correspond, if you go into a Cartoon Animator, these correspond with in the 360 head creator, or no, not this one, the sprite editor. We go to the left, okay, and right, or we go to the center left, okay, which in this case is like this, and we go to nose, or it should be mouth in this case. Okay, so notice that on the center left, all the mouths are facing this direction, okay? This, okay? They're all facing the side, whereas the front-facing character, they're all facing like this way. Okay, so you need to make sure that you're aware of that. And those sprite libraries correspond to these ones here, center right, center left, whatever, in Photoshop. All right, hopefully that's sort of a longer explanation, but hopefully you got a hang of that. Where am I at here? Let me bring up my Q&A panel again. Okay, so that kind of hopefully answers Dan Giacomo's question there as well about how the nose sticks out to the side. You have to change the sprite when you're to the side there, okay? And it gets into more. We will have more tutorials in the future on how to do that kind of stuff. We do have that one already using this Angry Bird character. But we will have more in the future that go into more detail on the more advanced aspects of head creation there. James asks a good question here. Can you change the color of the lips on the Cartoon Animator for mouths? Yes, you can. The same way I changed the color of the eyebrows, you can change the color of the lips. But keep in mind with the lips, you need to change different sprites because the lips are going to have like 7 sprites for the expressions and 8 sprites for the visine shapes for the mouth. Okay, so you're going to have to change the color on each and every one of those, not just one this time. Okay. LC Roach asks a good question. Can you make your own sprites and add them and do they have to be vector format? So the thing is right now, when you export your character into Photoshop, it's going to convert it automatically from vector to image-based format, unfortunately. So we recommend exporting at a very high resolution from Cartoon Animator. Unfortunately, right now there's no way to export where everything stays vector. So you have to make sure you have all your vector stuff and then import it in afterwards. Sorry about that, Elsie. I would love to have everything stay vector, but that's just not available at this time. Okay, Rodney Smith asks, is there a list of recommended webcams? They have a Microsoft Live Cam on the product website. I remember kind of browsing, seeing that at some point. But I've always just used my conventional webcam. Again, I'm a huge PC guy. MSI I use all the time. But in terms of, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can find that fast enough, but I know it's somewhere on here where they recommend a certain webcam, probably in one of these sections here. But yeah, just kind of, you have to browse that site yourself there, Rodney, unfortunately. But we do have it somewhere where they recommend a certain webcam. Maybe it's in the forums as well. But generally, most of them are going to work. And this is, again, always improving into the future here. Okay, so Josiah asks, how does the mocap with a standard webcam compare with mocap via an iPhone 10 or a current gen iPad Pro? Now, honestly, I've worked with both. Now, it's difficult for me because the iPhone stuff, or sorry, the webcam stuff that I've worked with has been with Faceware, which is different technology, and that's been super accurate for me. That's in iClone 7. The only up until the launch of Cartoon Animator 4, I've only worked with the iPhone 10 with Cartoon Animator or Crazy Talk Animator before, and the iPhone technology for facial capture is more advanced. It's a bit more. We've developed it a bit more, but again, anything that's developed for iClone is going to be integrated into Cartoon Animator 4. It's only a matter of time of us, getting the engineering power and the manpower to incorporate that. So, I mean, the webcam, the facial capture is only going to get better from here. But I think iPhone 10 has worked fine. I've sent a few emojis to friends and family, Animojis, whatever you call them, on the iPhone 10, and fairly good. Relatively the same results as you're going to see with the webcam on Cartoon Animator 4. What I'd recommend doing is, ideally, you want to have your face clear. Like, I'm going to bring up my face here again. So what I've purposely done here is I'm purposely facing a window. Okay, so there's natural sunlight coming into this window, which is creating like natural, even lighting on my face. This is a very good tip for when you're doing any sort of facial motion capture. You don't want you don't want a harsh light coming at you from above. You want to try and light up your face at a very even. You don't want to have any heavy shadows on your face. Okay, so try to get some natural lighting coming in directly at your face. If you can't do that, another way to do it is to put like a big huge paper in front of your face with a light shining behind the paper, so it kind of diffuses that light and shines evenly on your face. But yeah, to be honest, that's the ideal scenario for facial motion capture, is just to keep dark shadows, high contrast shadows out of the picture, and make sure your face is well lit. And you know, for someone like myself, my eyes are fairly deeply inset, so I've had that problem in the past where I've had light shining from above, but my eyes are kind of deep into my head. So my eyebrows, it casts like dark shadows on my eyes, and I don't get accurate eye capture. So that's one tip I can really provide for you guys from personal experience. Okay, Ronnie Smith. Okay, yeah. So Rodney, what I might suggest doing is trying to fool around with the resolution of your webcam. So again, resolution right here, and I mean this would be like super. It's not going to be super accurate. This one. Ideally, if you can, try to do the higher resolution. Generally, you're going to get smoother results. But again, that's it depends on your scenario. Okay. Rhonda asks, live motion, will it work on G2 vector actors? It'll drive them. You can animate them, but they're not. I mean, their heads aren't going to turn. It's going to be a little bit awkward for the G2 vector actors. Unfortunately, they're Rhonda. Again, you know, rotating from side to side like this, you're not going to get the results that you want. So just be careful with that. I mean, you can still drive the head like this, for example, rotate it, the facial features, but there's certain limitations, obviously. Holy smokes, got a lot of interest here, eh? Okay, so Jenny asks, if I get Pro mode, can I upgrade to the PSD pipeline later when I get Photoshop? Yeah, definitely can. Yeah, no problem. The upgrade price is very, very significant discount for those who want to upgrade to the pipeline. Highly recommended. Then again, I don't really pay for it myself. Anyways, from Cliff here, if you don't own Photoshop, how can you edit your characters? Does the edited file have to be a PSD file? No. So good question from Cliff, and this is one thing I wanted to mention for you guys here as well. If you don't have the pipeline version, the way that you edit it, again, say for example, I wanted to edit the blue, this character's face, for example, the blue background. What I'm going to do is select it, okay, select it from here, and just go ahead and use this button here, Launch External Image Editor. Now, if you want to add different features to your character, you want to go over here to your Layer Manager, and you want to press this plus key, okay? This will allow you to add an image to your character, okay? And let's add, I'm not sure what this is, cat maybe, some random PNG file that was on my desktop. Okay, so we have a cap here. So again, I just added a cat.png. We can resize this to, it fits pretty well in our character actually. We just something like this, and then we can probably be, I think it looks okay just like that. There you go. We have a backwards cap on our character. That's how you add facial features onto your character, and you want to attach it to you know, maybe your face, for example. Go to your scene manager here, cap, and just go up here to attach. Attach it to the face. Okay, no, it's already attached to the face. And then, yeah, you're gonna have a lot of fun kind of trying to get that into position. Anyways, that's how you can add stuff. If you want to launch, let's say for example, the face into Photoshop, just go over here to Launch External Image Editor. Now it doesn't have to be Photoshop, it can be whatever, right? Say we wanted the whole background to be brown instead. Boom, File, Save. And then back in Cartoon Animator, we have a blackbird now, all right? There you go, simple as that. All right, so let's go back to the questions. Again, that function I just showed you there, Cliff, does not need Photoshop. That can be GIMP or whatever, launching to an external image editor. Okay, Rodney asks, will there be a combined motion live webcam package if you want it for both iClone and Animator? Ooh, good question. If you are a school or an independent studio, you can contact me myself, and I can provide some educational pricing for that for multiple licenses. Okay, if you're looking for a single license, you can go to our education website, education.reallusion.com. Generally, combining software from different areas like the 2D and 3D realm, for example. You might have, it really depends on the deals we're offering at that time. But at this point, I'm not really familiar with any specific offers for that combination. But you can just add it to your cart and see if something pops up. You know, sometimes there's weird discounts that just pop up out of nowhere, you know. So, yeah. Okay, on to the next one here. Will there be, okay, that's the same one. Daniel asks, how long until Cartoon Animator 4 can have the functionality to perform 360 body turns like the head? Well, I imagine that's probably next, but it's not in the immediate future, Daniel. I wish I could give you an answer on that, but not in the current pipeline right now. Maybe Cartoon Animator 5 or maybe 4.3 or 4.4. We'll see. So I don't have much of a better answer for you than that. John McDonald mentions here, Affinity Designer is a great Photoshop alternative. And I haven't personally used much of Affinity Designer, but this is a good alternative for people here as well. I wanted to bring that up because I've heard positive things about it as well. Affinity Designer, okay, by Serif. It's a little bit less on the wallet than Photoshop. I'll throw this into the chat window here as well. Where is my chat window? There it is. Okay. Alrighty. Somebody asks, can I make an 8-angle G3 body? Unfortunately, not at this time. We don't have the option for an 8-angle G3 body. That's only for the G2 characters, and hopefully we'll get those. Hopefully we'll get those together in the near future here. Okay. Ken asks, do you have ready-made characters available for purchase in the Marketplace store in Cartoon Animator 4? Yeah, tons. Ken, I got to recommend to you my good buddy Gary Pye. Fantastic artist. You'll probably find his stuff all over the place in our. He even has his own store here. So all of his stuff, like these characters, for example, Bendy's Viking, Bendy's Sentry. Okay, like these characters, amazing. I mean, they're totally. It blows my mind the stuff that this guy does with his characters. I'll show you an example of one here. Oops. The link went somewhere else. Where did I go? Show a video of it anyways. So these are some of the characters that Gary Pye has come up with. Really amazing stuff. Very creative with his designs and the characters. If it'll play. Or somebody in the vicinity is using crazy internet. Get off the internet, Mom. I was kidding. Not sure why it's not loading. Maybe it's just the YouTube problem or something. Anyways, all these characters right here, absolutely amazing. I wish they'd pop up, but they're not. Figure that out later. All right. Anyways, you just search Gary Pye, this guy right here, and you'll find it on the content store or the Marketplace. Right. Highly recommend those. Okay, so Taz asks, I'm an illustrator painter. Is there a best way to create original characters to paint over the layers? Is the best way to create original characters to paint over the layers in the PSD template? Yeah, I mean, you can do that. That's what I've done in the past when I've created custom characters. I'm not sure what, for example, someone like Gary, what their workflow is, but generally, yeah. I mean, you just take those layers and paint them over, just to kind of keep the template intact, so you don't have to go one by one. That's probably a good practice there, Taz. That's probably what I would recommend. Edward asks, is there another way to send it to another editor such as Affinity Designer? Yep, I just kind of showed a little bit of that, so hopefully you caught on to that there, Edward. How to launch it to Affinity Designer. And again, even if you launch it if you have the pipeline version, you don't have to have Photoshop. You can launch the PSD to Affinity or GIMP as well if you want. Ariel asks, will it be possible to use Flash or Animate to create the G3 360 characters just as we created the G1? No, unfortunately, Flash, I mean, it hasn't been updated in a long time. We've kind of moved on from that to Photoshop at this point. And as you know, industry partners develop new things, we're always keeping an eye out for that stuff. But unfortunately, Flash just we haven't done much in terms of Flash since G1. So sorry to disappoint you there, Ariel. But yeah, we're kind of focused on Photoshop right now in terms of character creation. So Peter asks, I'm using an iMac. Can I use an Affinity in place of Photoshop? Yep. Seems like a lot of people are using Affinity. Dan asks, can you create a morph-based 360 face character? Unfortunately, the 360 characters, they need to be sprite-based. The morph-based will not work. But I mean, the morph face, the advantage is you can already tilt it. The morph face. It's not going to be anywhere close to 360, but it does have limited functionality. But we are, moving definitely into sprites, just because the morph face is just something that's a quick and easy way to animate a painting or something like that. Shirzebek asks, what does the mask folder do in the Photoshop PSD file? The mask folder is for holding the masks for your character. So the masks that I showed you earlier, like in the layer manager, you can see the mask. These ones right here. Let's find one that's okay. So for example, this face one part, it's just an extended shadow. But if you unmask it, it's going to extend a little bit beyond the border of your character's face. Okay, just like that. That's for that kind of functionality. All right. Yeah, okay, so Ariel mentions here, when we use Photoshop to zoom in, the characters are pixelated. We don't have that problem with vectors. Yeah, we're very aware of that, and that's something that we're working hard to fix. For now, you have to work around that, unfortunately, to vectorize stuff. Okay, Ian asks here from... I posted a comment under the YouTube video, Cartoon Animator tutorial, G3 360 head plus G2 body, G3 or 360 character from head to toe. Yeah, actually, I was originally going to talk about applying a G3 head to a G2 body in this webinar, but we're still kind of working on the best practices for that. So that'll possibly be a tutorial in the future on getting your 360 head onto a G2 body. But again, we're still working on the best practice for that, and that's all I can say right now. Well, we're trying our best to get that all sorted out. So Chuck asks, are there any features coming soon that you can talk about? Not for Cartoon Animator right now that I know of. I've, as you may know, I've been focused a lot on the 3D stuff recently with Unreal Engine and motion capture for your characters directly into video game engines. I can talk all day about that stuff because I'm more into the game design industry. But in terms of Cartoon Animator 4, we just launched it basically, so we're still just working on taking care of some minor bugs that have popped up. And if you guys have any bugs that you found that pop up, please put those in the forums. Okay, so forum.reallusion.com. Head over to the forums and just post those as bug reports. It really helps us out a lot because you can only have so many QA testers, but we do have an audience of hundreds of thousands out there who are using Cartoon Animator, and you guys are the most valuable resource when it comes to reporting bugs. So yeah, get in there into the forums and throw us all the stuff you can. Okay, so Ceylon asks, where do I sign up for the upcoming webinars on Cartoon Animator 4? Upcoming webinars on Cartoon Animator 4, you can just basically search like Reallusion webinars. Whoops, webinars, this one right here. I'll put this link in the chat window for you. There we go. Yeah, that's where you can check out the upcoming webinars. Nothing next month for Cartoon Animator 4, as far as I know. We have 2 for iClone. We could throw in Animator 4 one possibly. But yeah, keep checking up on that page for the newest and latest webinars. Okay, so David asks here, can you pop in and out of GIMP as you do in Photoshop? Yep, you definitely can. A lot of people here asking about alternatives to Photoshop, and I know we've had people saying, "Oh, why are you guys so Photoshop focused? Photoshop sucks." Blah blah blah. I agree that it's kind of annoying sometimes, but it's the industry standard right now, so that's why we just normally use that. But GIMP works just fine, and although I don't have experience with Affinity, I can trust that a lot of you guys are pretty smart out there using it, so I assume it's a good program. Okay, so Jenny asks here, how would you add a bounce effect for a fat tummy bouncing? You would use that using the you do that using the deform function on your character. So if you go out of here, we have the big evil bird and behind Barrett here. So you use stuff like the 2D motion key editor for your character, and different body parts can be stretched and morphed and everything like that. Don't really have a lot of time for that at this point here, but yeah, and sprites can be animated as well. Change the spray editor, for example. You can adjust all this stuff as well. Yeah, bouncing a tummy would be a matter of just kind of moving a certain body part up and down, and you can even just do it by adding an accessory to your character as well. I don't have a ton of time to get into that, unfortunately, but yeah, so maybe you can contact me privately afterwards there, Jenny, and I can kind of show you the ropes on how to animate the belly, for example. Okay, so I already answered that question from Ariel there. Can you import faces from Crazy Talk? Yep, you can import the heads from Crazy Talk. I'm not sure if you need the pipeline version for that. I don't believe you need the pipeline version, but you should be able to import, save a head up from Crazy Talk and import it into Cartoon Animator 4. Oh, Chuck here is clarifying. It's called Affinity Photo. Affinity Designer is mainly for vector. All right, thanks for chiming in there, Chuck. Affinity Photo for all you guys. We're looking more for a Photoshop alternative, not Affinity Designer. Rosemary asks, will there be more G3360 characters or a new face maker? Yeah, we're definitely going to bring out more G3360 characters. We have a child factory of Chinese workers working on our G3360 characters. They're pumping them out like hotcakes. I'm kidding, of course, but we do have some artists that are working hard to make more content packs all the time. And you can expect, especially within this next year, you can expect a lot more G3360 content packs. Check back regularly to the content store. Subscribe to our newsletter. We're always pumping out new stuff, and you'd be amiss not to check it out. Rhonda asks, are you planning to keep G2 characters and add features that you like to them to G3? You know, here's the thing. There's kind of two camps of people. Some that are like, oh, you know, those G2 characters, they're awesome. You know, I use them for everything, and they're more flexible, blah blah blah. And then there's people that are saying, oh, no, the G3 characters, you know, they're the smoother movement. It's not so jerky. Just, you know, just be more creative with your animation and stuff. I can't really comment on this, to be honest, right now. Unfortunately, Rhonda, I can't give you details as to when or what's going to happen with that. But we are always trying to improve, and the 360 body is something that has been in discussion for a long time as well. So that would I mean, once we have the 360 body, we wouldn't need to replace the G2 characters. They'd just be obsolete. But that is in discussion. So. Shirzad Beck asks, can I create a character in Character Creator and use them in Cartoon Animator? Unfortunately not. We don't have that 3D to 2D pipeline. We can't take those characters from 3D into 2D. I mean, you can save an image of the character and rig it up in Cartoon Animator, but there's no direct pipeline, unfortunately. Oh man, somebody's commenting on my hair. Yes, unfortunately, my hair, it's very humid. I'm actually in Vancouver right now. It's very humid right here in Vancouver. So when it's humid outside, my hair gets a little bit curly and wacky. So apologies if it's, you know, where am I here? There we go. Can sort it out a little bit. Yeah, sorry guys. Sorry for the bad hair today. Okay, Edward asks, can you export heads to Crazy Talk? Yeah, you can export the heads to Crazy Talk as well. Crazy Talk and Cartoon Animator, or Crazy Talk Animator 3 have a pipeline back and forth. You just have to save them to a CT head format. And I believe that we need to wait a bit for Cartoon Animator 4 heads to be compatible with Crazy Talk. So you may need to wait for the next update on Crazy Talk, the next patch, in order for them to take Cartoon Animator 4 heads. But the 360 heads will not be compatible, unfortunately, at this time. Just the regular heads into Crazy Talk there. All right, Gary mentions here a good alternative to Photoshop is Affinity and Clip Studio Pro. All right, yep, we got a lot of Affinity fans here in this webinar. We should start an Affinity fan club in the forums. Just kind of, you know, troll everybody else. Anyways, I wouldn't be part of it because I'd be an outsider. Anyways, just forget about that. Daniel asks, can you add movement to the facial hair with the visings? Daniel, the facial hair would be a separate sprite on your character's face. You'd have to manually edit that. Unfortunately, the only thing that's driven by the vising, by the automatic lip sync, is the actual mouth. So any facial hair, you need to morph it manually at this point, unless you made the facial hair part of the mouth sprite. If the facial hair was part of the mouth sprite, then it would morph automatically. But facial hair, more recommended to have it as a separate sprite on your character's face. Okay, Jenny asks a good question here. Can this link with Daz, Bryce, UV4, and other graphic programs to import characters? We don't have a direct pipeline for that yet, unfortunately, Jenny. But I mean, you can definitely export sprite sheets, you know, for use with. I remember doing tutorials earlier where we had we'd export sprite sheets from Cartoon Animator of your character running or jumping or something like that, and use those in game engines. But no direct pipeline aside from image sequences, which is the way that you would create those sprite sheets. Even one more alternative to Photoshop, guys. Glenn here mentions Medi Bang Paint Pro, like Medi, M-E-D-I, and then Bang. Medi Bang Paint Pro. Lots of the same features, including in and out of CA4. All right, so We got tons of alternatives to Photoshop. Let's start a revolution, guys. I think we gotta bring down that giant Adobe. Okay. All right. Bunch of other comments here. Okay, so good question here from an anonymous attendee regarding the use of Cartoon Animator 4 characters commercially. Now, when it comes to anything that's sold by Reallusion, you are able to use it commercially, freely. We don't have any sort of restrictions on that. The only thing we ask you to do is to credit Reallusion somewhere in the credits of your production, and hopefully you can contact us and show us your work, because we're always loving to market and feature new artists. Obviously, especially if they're using our products. But yes, commercial products are fine. You can take Samantha or Scrofa, or I wouldn't use Jowl, but for obvious reasons. But you can use like Scrofa or Samantha or whatever, and bring them into whatever project you're using, and royalty free. We don't charge royalties on commercial stuff. Just to ask that you would credit us somewhere in your production, and let us know so we can use it as marketing material. That's the standard answer that we have right now. Okay, so HK asks, are talking heads in one project possible for more than one character together? Technically, yes. You would need 2 separate webcams. Yeah, actually, I don't think it's possible, right? Well, okay, so there's maybe a way you can use the webcam and the iPhone 10 for 2 separate characters together at once. I'm just thinking like every computer only has one webcam. But I do know in iClone you can do motion capture for as many characters as you want, really, as long as your computer can support it. But Cartoon Animator 4, I haven't tried animating more than a single character. Yeah, but it's possible, maybe. I have to get again. This just launched like this month, and basically I'm still kind of like figuring things out. But yeah, we haven't talked much about multiple characters, but I believe it's possible. And if not, with this version, it'll be possible with another new patch in the future, because we already have the technology with iClone, so it's only a matter of integrating it into Cartoon Animator 4. So HK, sorry, I can't give you an answer on the timeline, but it's definitely possible now, or if not now, in the near future. Daniel asks, does Reallusion offer affiliate links? Yeah, I mean, if you want to talk about affiliate stuff, just email marketing@reallusion.com. They take care of all the partnership inquiries. That's marketing@reallusion.com. I used to take care of a lot of that stuff as well, but they're the guys to talk to. Yeah. Okay, so Gary mentions as well here, Gary Pye, whose content I was showing earlier, you can also use his content commercially. Again, it's always just a matter of respect to contact the artist directly, whoever's making it, and ask them, directly, can I use your stuff in a commercial? But Gary has mentioned here that you can go ahead and use all his stuff, no worries, commercially. But again, try and credit him as well. Always a sign of mutual respect among artists to credit each other where credit is due. I highly encourage that. Jenny asks, can I use Corel Paint Shop Pro instead of Photoshop? Holy smokes, how many programs are there out there that edit photos these days? Back in the day when I was in college, it was just Photoshop. Yeah, so Jenny, you can also use Corel Paint Pro. As long as it supports those formats, PSD formats and whatnot. You should be fine. Alrighty. Elsie asks, can you just copy and paste the motion to the second character? I'm not sure if I showed you guys, a very good point here, on how to copy and paste motions. I did show you how to save heads, but motions is different as well. Let's copy this motion to from this dude. Hey everyone, welcome to our webinar. I removed his facial animation there. Let's do something like this. Let's just throw in like the pancake one. Come on, Mr. Pancake.
Yes, sir. Pancake's coming right up.
Okay, so say that was a custom motion that I created. I press F3 and go into the timeline. There's a collect clip track right here. Okay. Now the collect clip track, excuse me, you can click and drag in that track and go right click and just add to export facial motion or export perform. Okay. So one part I forgot to mention, I was going to do it for my facial capture. But since he's body and face, you want to export perform. Perform is body and face and also has the audio as well. Export facial motion will just be the face, which I guess we only need since the Angry Bird character is only facial motion. So let's just do that. Export facial motion. We'll call it facial test onto our desktop. Fine. All right, facial test right here. And pop it on this guy.
Yes, sir. Pancake's coming right up.
Okay, so again, you can see not bad, but obviously when he turns this direction like this, is the hat staying forward. So you would need to, modify that hat to twist a little bit, but it's staying on relative to the face. Okay, so that's how you.
Yes, sir. Pancake's coming right up.
That's how you save and apply motions to new characters. Shazam! I think this is the record-breaking. This is the longest webinar we've had so far. Just so you guys are, you're making it part of history right now. This is our longest webinar ever. Okay, so Douglas's question about G360 heads and G2 and G3 character bodies, I think we discussed that already. Last question, finally. Thomas, this may have been asked earlier, but will there be a video of this webinar available later? I missed most of it. Come on, man, you got to get here early. No, just kidding. Yes, we will have a recording of this. We are recording it right now, so anything you may have missed, we're going to be sending you out an email. And again, with the email comes the survey. I know, survey, but hey, you get 10% discount from the content store, and that'll be a lot of fun. Browsing through content in the content store, knowing in your heart you get 10% off whatever you see. But aside from that, yeah, I think that about wraps up this webinar. We've gone like an hour overtime. Part of that was my fault with the delayed movement to the facial animation part there. But yeah, we'll end it off with Angry Fowl and Barrett here. So again, any more questions, comments, anything like that, feel free to get in touch here. You can email me, developer@reallusion.com. Actually, that's not me anymore. Kai@reallusion.com. That's KAI@reallusion.com. Also, our forums have a bunch of really helpful people who have lots of time on their hands and are able to answer any questions you have. A lot of really skilled people there. Check those out as well. And yeah, I think we'll just sign off there. So thanks so much, everyone. Appreciate you for attending this webinar. And again, if I went too fast for anybody here, we're sending out a recording for you. So make sure to review that recording on your own time. And any questions, just send them my way. And yeah, we'll sign off there. So enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. I think it's Tuesday evening for most people. And I'll see you in the next webinar.